We are sad to see NBA best ball season go, but we are happy for the season to start. I'm super excited. We're counting down the clock until these tournaments lock. There's overlay galore, and we got one more draft stream to do here before the start of the NBA season. I hope you'll join me. I hope we'll have some fun, maybe pick some winners, and get ready for the games tonight. This is Spike Week, NBA Best Ball, last draft of the year. Let's go. All right, guys, here we go. Last one. I think the Underdog tournament locks in like 45, 50 minutes. I think DraftKings is going all the way up and like till lock. I don't know what's going on DK, but we're going to draft on Underdog here today. We're cutting it close. We only have, like I said, 45 or so minutes. So let's get this baby rolling. Let's fire up. Let's fire up a draft. Let me share my screen and hop in the small ball here. They are filling really fast. I guess I could have looked. We need two more people. Should fill pretty quickly here. I wanted to look and see 51. We are less than an hour until lock, and it's 51% full. That is pretty crazy. That's some serious overlay. That's some serious expected value, if you will, on these tournaments. I'm pretty excited. I've been firing them all day. I'm a little upset. I did not appropriately plan all of my time these last couple of weeks to be able to max these. Definitely not between two sites, and so I'm gonna get 50 something here into Underdog. And I'm not even sure how many. It's impossible. It's hard to track how many you have on DraftKings. But I still feel totally fine about that. Obviously, would have loved to like have been able to max these, but it's hard. There's only, supposedly we're supposed to have an 80-hour work week just to win at DFS, I've been told. So balancing, NFL, DFS, NBA prep, and getting these drafts done, it's not that easy. But lots of overlay that we're going to take advantage of here. And I'll probably fire some more at the very end. We'll get close to lock here, and I might try to fire a couple more that we can all do together after the stream. Şengün to the moon. I agree. It's kind of funny. I've got a little less of him of late. But I was just hammering Şengün so much early that he's I don't even know what my exposure looks like, but he's still probably one of my higher owned players across both sites. But he's definitely gotten quite a bit of steam, which that's okay. He's a good pick. He makes for such a perfect example of the kind of guy I think that's like such a big edge in these. And we've kind of talked about it on draft streams before. We definitely talked about it in Discord. Like these young players that are productive, have opportunity in front of them. These are the kind of guys like we want to buy. Like it doesn't make much sense to draft Brook Lopez at the same price as Şengün. You might get, some. I don't even know that you're going to get more points early in the season, but you're just not getting any spikes. You're not getting any upside. There is no situation in which Brook Lopez is like winning a league for you. Like we've seen, when Giannis doesn't play, when Giannis goes down, Brook is just still like meh. In that situation, it's like Jordan Nwora is the winner. And so it's just, he's such a perfect example of the kind of guy that we want to target, like just so hyper productive on a per minute basis that all you need is some minutes. And I don't know exactly how many minutes he's going to get. I don't know how, it's hard to project like exactly what's going to happen to him, but I don't really care about that projection. And that's where I'm not overly relying on projection for like a lot of these players, because I'm trying to identify the super productive players, particularly young players. I'm going to take Joel Embiid here. I haven't gotten a ton of Embiid actually, so I'm kind of looking forward to this. Another Embiid is really interesting kind of a use case, but just to polish it up on Şengün, these, I feel like the market in these drafts is not taking into account like the actual productivity of these players, and sometimes not the age either. And like you want to be having guys that are like small loss, big win, even if it doesn't work out, Şengün, is gonna get his 15 minutes a night or whatever and be productive in those minutes. If it doesn't go perfectly, okay, you only get a couple of spike weeks out of him. If something, they rest Christian Wood later in the season or something like that. But like there's almost no scenario in which he is just like this total flame out because he's super productive and he's young on a bad team. Oof. See, I really hate this spot here. This is where I gotta just stick to my gut. Well, actually, you know what I'm gonna do here? We're gonna have some fun. I don't think I've done a stream where I only took 2 bigs. And a fitting way to end the last one is I'm gonna have a 2 big team here. That's it. Embiid and Bam. Those are my only big men. We'll have some fun building this team. Embiid is an interesting one. I actually we have a work season-long fantasy NBA league. It's a 16-team league. It's very competitive for a, probably like some people are not maybe, completely tuned in, but it's I work for Roto Grinders. It's a work fantasy basketball league, and there's tons of people paying attention to the NBA that know what they're doing. You have people like Mike Gallagher from Establish the Run are in this league. It's very, very sharp, and it's 16 teams. I actually got Embiid in that league, and which is interesting because Embiid has not been a big staple of my drafts. I mean, I'm definitely not shying away from Joel Embiid, but I have really started to think kind of deeply about Embiid with this Simmons thing. Like we were having really good conversation in the Discord today. If you're not a member of the Discord, go to spikeweek.com, click Discord in the header, join it. 100% free. There's tons of people in there talking. The conversation over the last, even just the last week, it's been awesome all of draft season, but it's been incredible over the last couple of days as we're all firing as many of these drafts as we can. But Embiid is kind of the only thing you're concerned about is games played with Joel Embiid, right? Getting hurt, resting, whatever. The per game production we know is just going to be through the roof. He's one of the best per game players in the league. With this Simmons thing, part of you starts to wonder, okay, what if the Simmons thing blows up? Maybe Ben doesn't play, right? He's already got suspended for whatever the heck happened at practice, getting kicked out of practice. What if Simmons sits out? What if they treat Simmons like John Wall? Right? So we would envision typically Simmons getting traded. But if Simmons gets traded, net, that's probably fine for Embiid. If Simmons plays, that's factored into his price right now. But what if Simmons just doesn't play? Embiid is just one of these guys. I feel like I might have been a little. I might have made a mistake not being a little bit higher on just with how good he is on a per minute basis and a per game basis. And it's also possible, what if they're not quite as good, this Ben thing? What if they're not quite as good and they need to play Joel more? What if the Joel and Jokic games, Jokic was so valuable because he plays all the time, right? He played all the games last year. What if that, Embiid's not going to play every game, but what if Jokic off of that, insane season last year. What if he starts to rest a little bit more? What if Embiid starts to play more games? Embiid has been kind of a guy that's been super fascinating to me. Basically, he's a really tough guy to peg. I feel like in terms of the top round guys. I guess like the Lakers are much tougher to peg, but just a random tangent about Embiid because I've been thinking about him. And the Sixers are so in the news with this Simmons shit that I've been thinking about Embiid and thinking about the Sixers, thinking about Tyrese Maxey. He skyrocketed when Ben sat out, and then he's fallen all the way back down. And I feel like he might have fallen too far now. Back to the Şengün thing. I totally agree, Mark. Like, if you're talking about a guy that just ascends, I feel like I need to use my right hand. I'm left-handed, so I always do this, but it's like backwards, right? In my camera, it's backwards. I need to make sure to use it. A guy that's going to start and just continually get better and better and better and play more and more and more and be super valuable at the end of the season, right? That's something that we talked a lot about during the NFL drafts. Like, okay, I need my guys to be peaking in the playoffs. I need my guys to be in good matchups in the playoffs or whatever. We don't really talk about it with NBA because it's a little bit sometimes more difficult to peg. It's a longer season, blah, blah, blah. And at the end of the day, you just got to get there. But Şengün is like the perfect situation, right? They're not going to win. So at the end of the year, you don't need to play Daniel Tice. You probably don't need to play Christian Wood. And so if you get like Şengün for 30 minutes a night in like the playoffs as a 12th round pick or something like that, I mean, he's going to be an absolute smash. Just an absolute smash with the per minute production that he's given. Look at his one preseason start. I know it's the preseason, typical caveats with the preseason. Just went nuts because he's so productive. And those are the kind of guys I'm interested in. This is a very tough draft. I'm not very happy with you guys. Here's another guy who I'm trying to take a little bit more of. I took earlier today in a draft, and that's Anthony Edwards. Just another young guy. I think almost no matter how this season breaks, they are not gonna, be resting Anthony Edwards. I guess at the very end of the season, if it's really gotten bad or something like that, they might not want to put too much burden on their franchise player. But he also needs to play. And I was listening to the Low Post podcast earlier today, and they talked about he's one of the more intriguing players, kind of confusing, intriguing, something like that of the season. And it's because he took such a huge leap in the second half of last year. Like, he was flat out horrible, absolutely awful to start the year. But he's such an unbelievable athlete. He does so many things that like just other human beings can't do on a basketball floor. He just needs to learn and grow and develop and all of that. And another guy that as the season goes on, right, that's another young guy on a not amazing team, continue to just get more minutes, get more usage, trying to grow his skill set. Just another typical kind of guy at a wing position. That's like, once we get to this spot of wing, like, once you get after like Jaylen Brown or whatever at the wing position on Underdog, it's not very good. And I like MPJ, and I actually have taken a little bit of DeMar DeRozan because I am into the Bulls with their offense. But now I might take MPJ or DeRozan here, which is kind of funny. I am going to take MPJ, another kind of young, just another young guy. I have a little bit more concerns about MPJ from a games played perspective on a good team. But just, one of the best scorers of the basketball on the planet in the NBA. I mean, the kid can flat out score. So, there's always a certain level of floor and then also a certain level of upside. If he can kind of take that. Last year, what MPJ was kind of interesting. He was just a bucket getter, but it was tons of just like contested jumpers. He takes so many just like contested jumpers. He's just such a good shooter. He doesn't run any pick and roll. He doesn't do a lot of other than kind of some ISO contested jump shots. A little bit of Jokic, obviously Jokic getting him open. But if he can take another, same thing. If Ant can take the next step, if MPJ can take that next step without Jamal Murray there, they need him. So just again, like clearly this is the theme. This is the theme. These buying the breakouts, right? I tweeted earlier today. It was mostly more focused around NFL, but I thought, given this conversation, it's very applicable. The thing about these drafts is you have to go in kind of knowing you're not going to get everything right. You have to draft like you're right? So I took 2 early bigs. I can't keep hammering bigs. I'm pot committed on Joel Embiid and Bam Adebayo. It's like you can take one more. I'm not saying you can't take 3 in this situation. I'm gonna, just because I want to try out 2, I'm gonna take 2. But you have made that decision. You have to draft now. Moving forward, I got Embiid right and I got Bam right. But simultaneously, you have to understand that you're going to be wrong about things, about players, about, basically about certain types of players. Excuse me, you're going to be wrong. But as long as you continue to draft the right archetypes of players, place your chips on the right types of players that can pay you off in a big way, right? If Michael Porter, we know how talented Michael Porter Jr. is. If he somehow continues to get even better, especially in other facets of his game, if Anthony Edwards can somehow kind of learn how to play basketball, right? He's kind of like a bull out there. He's just kind of he's a freak athlete. If he can, kind of harness all this natural God-given ability and start to become like an actually good basketball player, the nuance of the game of basketball, like the upside is tremendous from a fantasy perspective. So those are the kind of guys you just want to continually bet on. And you bet on Ant, bet on MPJ. We're going to bet on more of these kind of like breakouts. And you just hope you're not going to hit on all of them. You're going to be wrong. But if you continue to make the right bets over the course of your entire draft, that's how you can win, right? You guys have heard me talk about, my guy Precious Achua, right? On the Raptors have multiple, right? Precious, OG, Scotty Barnes. If you like Malachi Flynn super late, if you like Gary Trent, etc., like just betting on these young potential breakout players and continue to bet on them. You just hopefully end up getting this right grouping of the breakouts. And then it's anchored by Joel Embiid and Bam Adebayo, who are just like stone cold rock solid. Let's see what we got. Yeah, I like the 2 big thing, Terrence. I agree. And Sabonis is such a good one. Another, what I do really like about the 2 early big thing is it's like outside of like what maybe, and outside of like AD, who sometimes, has some serious games played issues or leaving games early issues or whatever. These guys are just like Sabonis, like you said. It's just like so rock solid. Vooch, same way. Vooch is not going to become Jokic. Sabonis isn't going to become Jokic. But these guys are just like, they're like assuming health. They can't fail because they're just so productive. And so those are the dudes I want to keep betting on. Who I am going to take on this team is actually Brogdon, because I also don't have a ton of Brogdon. It looks like he's healthy. It looks like LeVert is not healthy. And another, just like Malcolm Brogdon is just rock solid. Absolute rock solid. He was an absolutely elite level smash fantasy pick last year. He's a little pricier now than he was last year, but some of the preseason injury stuff and maybe a little bit of uncertainty around the Pacers have kind of pushed him down. And I'm trying to make sure I get a little bit before we close out draft season here. And I know with a 2 big build, right, I'm just going to be having so many wings and guards that I like to have guys like that in there. It's really unfortunate that Jaren Jackson is a big with some of the snafus they have on guys that are listed as wings. It would have been sweet if Jaren Jackson was a wing, because he's He's a forward on DraftKings, and he is just such a smash over there. But here on Underdog, I still like him, but big is a lot deeper. So it's just a little unfortunate. I mean, the definition of a bucket. When you look up bucket on Webster, it's MPJ. Dude just gets buckets. Doesn't matter. He's not. Do not take this out of context. He's not Kevin Durant, but in terms of when he's covered, he's still open. Like that's what KD is. KD is never not open. 6'11". He can shoot over everyone. Bigs can't guard him, on the perimeter. Here's another one. Now, this is going to pain me. I got to stick to my Spencer Dinwiddie take. I've been trying to get a little bit. So here's why this is tough. I've been trying to get a little bit more of a Kyle Lowry. I had zero, literally zero. He's really fallen in terms of price, and I'm very bullish on the Heat, and I think Lowry is just pretty rock solid too. Not a crazy ceiling, but I got to stick to my guy Dinwiddie. Dinwiddie has been one of my poster boys. He's one of the core picks on SpikeWeek.com across all sites. With Westbrook gone out of there, Dinwiddie getting the run at the point. They're trying to win, and Dinwiddie is going to have a big year, I think. So I got to stick. To it, even though I've been doing a lot of. So like, if you see me in this draft at any point, draft maybe someone. It's possible I draft someone that's lower in my ranks than like someone's higher. I'm getting to the point now where I've drafted all the same guys so many times. I am trying to, make sure I get some of certain guys that like there are certain guys that I want zero of, but there are also other guys that I don't want to just be like I'm completely ignoring them, even though I don't dislike them. Like I don't dislike Kyle Lowry, but I have most of the draft season liked guys better than him, so like I do want to mix them in, and so sometimes that might require you to take them over a guy you have ranked a little bit higher. The difficulty of doing a bunch of drafts. So much EV, it's crazy. DraftKings is the same way. I'll pull that up in a minute just to take a look, but DraftKings is also not going to come anywhere close to filling. This is an interesting one. Stacking two bigs in my preference would be like Nurkic and Joval, because I think they have like the absolute legendary upside at the big position. I mean, who knows what happens with Zion? And Joval is like one of the best per minute players in the league. Like if like I oftentimes put things in DFS terms. If like Joval would be in play on slates at appropriate pricing, obviously, when he was playing 26 or 28 minutes, because the dude can go get 45 or 50 fantasy points in 27, 28 minutes sometimes, because he gets every board. He can absolutely dominate on the interior, right? He's actually a pretty good passer. He triple-doubled in the bubble. I remember playing him at super low ownership in DFS in the bubble back when he was on the Grizzlies, and he triple-doubled because he's actually a fairly decent passer too. And so if this Zion, like I still like Zion, but if the Zion thing is real, or if this Zion thing also leads to them maybe being more cautious with Zion, I did bump him down in the rankings. If you go to the changelog, you'll see that I moved Zion down just because Zion was like my 10th or 11th overall player. So I did probably need to move him down with the injury news just because of the risk. But who benefits the most from that? It's Joval. So he has crazy upside, and I've talked too much probably about my Nurkic love. So I'm a little lower on Porzingis. Maybe that's a little bit of recency bias from the last year, but same idea. Let's see, dude. Mark, you are preaching to the Derek White fan club. The Spurs have like all my guys. It's painful that they're not better, like real life better. DeJounte Murray is like one of my top 5 favorite players in the NBA, no doubt. Derek White is not that far behind. I don't know what it is about Derek White and Murray that they're just like these guards that I feel like are like just really good. They do everything, and they defend. They're athletic as hell. Derek White is like a shitty Drew Holiday to me. He goes at dudes defensively. He'll go guard the best player. He's physical. He'll guard bigger players than him. He just hasn't figured out his offensive game completely yet. Steals and blocks are amazing for Derek White, and all the opportunity in the world is there. I think DeJounte is the one who's going to benefit the most from that opportunity. And now you say that, and I'm going to take Derek White. Perfect timing. I agree. Any room in season-long leagues? I don't play a lot of season-long. I don't have a lot of time to be doing daily transactions, so I play one serious season-long NBA league. And that's about it. I do want to get into it more. But best ball is the best fit for me, and I enjoy the strategy. I really enjoy the strategy around best ball a little bit more. But I appreciate that. I appreciate that feedback, and thank you for watching. This has been a lot of fun. I know NBA best ball isn't like the sexiest thing. It's not getting all the, I'm never going to get, thousands upon thousands of views of an NBA best ball draft stream, right? But I feel like all of us together are like, it's a brotherhood. Yeah, I don't want to say that. Women are invited too, but you know what I mean? Like, we're a small niche community, and I think it's a ton of fun. I also think it's really going to continue to grow. I know these contests and stuff are not filling this year, but I think Underdog's really committed to growing their NBA product, and I think we'll see big things from NBA best. Ooh, there's Gafford. Wow, NBA best ball perspective in the not too distant future. Now we're going to take Jalen Suggs. Another, I don't even have to continue to reiterate it, right? Young player. They have all the reason in the world to play Jalen Suggs and give him a chance. It's a little bit murky, but he's super productive. And another guy you just expect to continue to get better and better. Let's see. What do we got? Jack. Zion spent the end of August at Duke. Saw him at a party, and he looked like he put yeah, that's so funny that you bring this up. There's I don't know if it's a meme or it was just a tweet with side-by-side comparisons. Last year, at the beginning of the season. Yeah, so quick side tangent. I am sort of worried about Zion. Zion is maybe the most exciting professional sports player we've had, like him and like Patrick Mahomes. Like maybe the most exciting, LeBron. It was LeBron, but now since LeBron, it's like Zion. This is 6'6", kind of beefy, but the freakiest athlete we've ever seen. And like he even goes to the NBA and is unstoppable, 100% unstoppable. Teams can't stop. If he wanted to get to the rim last year in the NBA, he did. He was learning how to facilitate. He's such just an absolutely fun player. The concern is if he doesn't get it together, LeBron needs to take him under his wing or something. I mean, look at LeBron. LeBron has played 19 seasons, and he looks like and he's massive. He's jacked. Probably got an 8-pack. Probably 5% body fat. And he's old. Zion looks in way worse shape than he looked last year. And so I brought up this, I think it was just a tweet of the preseason photo like that the Pelicans were using last year as like promo material for Zion. And he actually looked like kind of chiseled. Like he had lost some weight. There was some serious definition in his arms and all of that. And he looked like good, like real good. And then this year, what they're using, it looks like old, pudgy high school Zion. no muscle definition, looks kind of chunky. And it's like, if he doesn't get this together, I mean, these injuries are not good. You can't do, I'm not sure he'll be able to sustain health, period, even if he gets in good shape, because the human body just can't sustain the kind of force that he is able to generate, right? It's very difficult for that to work. But if he doesn't get into shape, it's definitely never going to happen. And that's really discouraging, because I'm all on Team Zion. I hope, the NBA needs Zion. I'm rooting for Zion, but it is a little discouraging. Let's hope, Mark. I'll find a way to screw it up, probably. But I like this team too. Started with the double big, Embiid, and for anybody that just joined, started with the double big, Embiid and Bam, and I'm going to try. I told the chat that I'm trying out Embiid, Bam, and my bigs, just a 2-big build. And we went to Anthony Edwards and MPJ, and then we've hammered some guards since: Brogdon, Dinwiddie, Derek White, and Jalen Suggs. I'm kind of happy Jordan Poole just went, because I've been taking too much Jordan Poole. Just decided to plant my flag, excuse me, on Jordan Poole. Oh, man. This is tricky, though, because wing, I'm happy I took Ant and MPJ, though, given what I see here at these wing positions. And, of course, there's plenty of value, it looks like, at big. This is a little bit of a conundrum here. Don't love most of these guys, honestly. Oops. So Drummond goes. Since I have these 4 guards, I am actually going to dip my toes back into the Dillon Brooks waters. I know he's hurt. But I'm still pretty bullish on Dillon Brooks long term. Hopefully the hand thing is okay. But having the 4 guards already, obviously having the 2 bigs, I think gives me a little bit of the flexibility to in theory, I don't need Dillon Brooks for the first couple of weeks of the season. And I haven't been taking him a lot lately, so kind of works out to be able to get some. This times 1,000. It's probably like this. We've entered it now. You get past like the Pools and Nas, Nickeil Alexander-Walkers. Let's scroll back a little bit and see some of these. I don't really like Sadiq Bey. I don't really like Reggie Jackson. I kind of like Reggie Jackson. Roko's okay. Hero, I like some of these guys, and you get past them and you get into this weird. So I'm probably gonna end up reaching for one of my guys here, because I just want to be in on this particular player, as long as Jay Pekanik does not take my guy. But I couldn't agree more, Mark. You get into this weird range where it's like, if I wasn't doing this kind of 2 big thing, I like PJ Washington. I like Steven Adams. I don't really like Boucher and Harrell a ton. I like Mo Bamba. I like Wendell Carter. I like Mitch Robb. So like if I weren't doing that, I would be taking. I did like DeAndre Hunter. So now that DeAndre Hunter is gone, we're just doing it. He's not going to come back to me. So the thing about some of the this is an ADP reach on Precious, but you tell me which one of these guys you really like at wing. Kawhi? No, I'm not taking Kawhi. I really don't like Markkanen. Baisley, Tate, Oubre, Rui. I have Precious ranked above all of these guys, and I don't pick for 18 picks. So I'm just going to take my guy, and I obviously need wings, and I'm only taking 2 bigs. So Sometimes you get a rare situation where the quote unquote ADP value, like, it doesn't matter. I kind of figured you knew. When I said my guy, I shouldn't have spoiled it. I ruined it by saying, like, I'm just going to take one of my guys. And it's like, there's a wing right down close to the bottom of the list there that you may have been talking about for the last, 2 months and be your highest exposure player in NBA best ball. If Precious smashes this year, I will be insufferable. Let's just say that much. I like these guys. What do you think about? Here's the question. So one thing I will say before I pose my question, I try to keep in mind that I think 14th through 16th round guards are legit good. Like, guys I want to buy. So you mentioned these three: Jalen Brunson, Trey Murphy, Malachi Flynn. Like those guys. Here I'm gonna list you some other guys that I really like: Davion Mitchell, Alex Caruso, Chris Duarte, Killian Hayes, Desmond Bain, DeAnthony Melton. I'm missing some other guys, but you get the point, right? That's like 8 dudes that we just mentioned now that all go in like 14th through 16th round. And I think it's important to understand, who do you like at the end of the draft? Because that drives who you take at the beginning, right? There's no bigs back there. I don't want to have to take a big in the 15th round because they all suck. I don't want to. Like, I could talk myself into Nick Claxton. Like, I could talk myself into it, but I mean, what's really the upside? I don't know that it exists. But there's all these guards back there that, like, dude, if they get some opportunity, and I think they're going to, like, Davion, based on the preseason usage, Duarte, based on the preseason usage, Killian Hayes is definitely the starting point guard for the Pistons. Jalen Brunson is, a borderline 6th man of the year candidate. God forbid if something happens to Luka or Luka rests. Trey Murphy might start, period. But if Zion is out an extended stretch, you have Murphy. Malachi, I'm a little concerned about where Malachi is going to fit into the rotation to start the year. But, like, if he gets minutes, the production is coming. It's just happening. Alex Caruso might be a smash even as the 6th man for the Bulls. What if he gets more playing time, right? So there's all these guards. Even though the market has gotten more efficient, there's all these guards. Wings, ugly. Bigs, horrible. So thinking about that is like, it drives my decision making. So, like, I have my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bigs, or 5 guards. I have my 2 bigs, and it's like, well, I guess this is wing time here for a little stretch. And I do like a couple of these wings here. Yeah, I'm in on Duarte. I wasn't taking Duarte at the start of the season. I've been rectifying that. I'm trying to take Duarte. If you've been in any drafts with me on either site, you'll know that I've been taking Duarte. Even, like, I prefer Davion to Duarte, I think, but and Killian to Duarte, but I've been taking Duarte over those guys some because I just have less because I wasn't taking him originally to start the year. So here's one we're going to take that's not super sexy. It's definitely a contingent bet. Larry Nance would definitely need an injury or something, probably to Nurk, and, like, take over as, like, a small ball 5. I think he's a productive player. I really like Larry Nance, the real life player. But he needs something to break his way. But that's kind of what I'm in need of here, because I'm not drafting any more bigs. We talked about the guard thing, so I'm willing to kind of take some bets that, like, I'm definitely not banking on Larry Nance's score anytime soon. trying to look at this list. And what do you guys think about TJ Warren? This like weeks away thing is TJ Warren ever going to play basketball again? He's always the guy that you get to this range and you're like, TJ Warren shouldn't be in this range, but like, is he ever going to are we ever going to make use of TJ Warren? I don't know that we are. It's unfortunate. That's it. You don't hear like anything, which is like the like sketchy part. It was kind of like the Dylan Brooks thing. Like they didn't tell us anything, and then the next thing you know, he's my guy. I was gonna take P. Will there. I was gonna take Patrick Williams. I am going to on this team because of knowing I'm going to take a ton of wings. I'm going to take Jonathan Isaac, kind of a similar thing to Larry Nance. In theory, I'm not needing his score with MPJ and Precious. And I don't know when Isaac is going to play, and I don't know if Isaac is going to be super useful. I actually moved him down. If you saw the change log, I moved Isaac down a good bit with like we don't really know what's going on with him. And I'm not sure he's ever going to be super usable. But if he can somehow get healthy and become a key piece for them later in the season, I think he's really valuable. We know he's productive. The defensive stats are gonna be are absolutely gonna be there, which is really huge with the scoring of Underdog. It's just, man, it's tough. He's a tough guy to click because is he ever gonna? Same thing. He's a baby TJ Warren. Are we ever gonna get anything out of Jonathan Isaac? Because if we can get some games played, he's gonna be good in those games played on this Magic team, in my opinion. But I don't know if that's gonna happen. I do doubling back to I'm gonna ruin Duarte, so I'm not gonna get Duarte on this team because you're never allowed to talk about a guy that you want to target later. But he's definitely a guy he's been a big riser for me and a legit target for me. He was difficult to peg because of, weeks ago. He was difficult to peg because they just got so many dudes, so many bodies. I mean, we just talked about TJ Warren. We didn't know exactly what the deal was with TJ Warren. Jeremy Lamb is there. Justin Holiday is there. Obviously, McConnell backs up Brogdon. We just didn't exactly know where Duarte fit into that. You also have the issues of he's an insanely old prospect, which like he was productive at Oregon. I loved him at Oregon, but it was just a really difficult situation to peg. And then you're like, okay, even if he gets in the lineup, but if he's playing next to Brogdon and I didn't even bring up LeVert, if he's playing next to Brogdon and LeVert and Sabonis and Turner, like what production is there left for him really? And then you see the preseason and like he's a legitimate fantasy contributor, even when he's out there next to Brogdon, Sabonis, etc. Now LeVert is out. And so, that when LeVert comes back, what does that mean for him? I don't know, but I feel confident saying he's a productive player and he's going to have usage. He's an awesome steals and blocks player. So it's kind of the same, again, like the millionth time I'm saying, it's the same trend of like, I'm trying to like bet on those types of players. Let's see here. It really is crazy when you think about the fact that John Wall is going at pick 152. Now, I don't know. I don't even think I've taken John Wall, which maybe that'll end up being a leak if he gets traded. But it's just crazy to think about. John Wall going next to the names that he goes next to is crazy. Crazy. Let's see here. Brooke goes. So my next wing is Cam Reddish. I have a ton of Cam Reddish. Very excited for him. Sorry, I accidentally closed a window here for me. I had the first pick in the draft and thus the last overall pick to Kim. Yeah. This is a great one. No one ever thinks about these contingency bets in the NBA. But like one of two things can happen. In the NBA, it's also a little bit different than like contingency bets we always talk about, for the NFL. Like if this running back gets hurt, that running back has value, right? Because now he's the starter. That obviously is true in the NBA. If Chris Paul gets hurt, Cam Payne gets thrust into a real like like we want him. Like you would want Cam Payne on your team. Obviously, you would also want Devin Booker, but like Cam Payne would be like a really valuable fantasy player. But you also do in the NBA have the situation of guys sitting out games, right? In the NFL, you don't, if you're healthy, you play. You don't have the situation of, maybe the last week or two, right? When teams have locked up playoff spots, but you don't have the situation in the third week of the NFL season where like, Devontae Adams is just like, yeah, no, I'm not going to play. Real quick, got to take Isaiah Roby. Isaiah Roby is like the dollar store version of the big man that's a wing that you get to draft as a wing on Underdog. Like you don't ever really feel good about it, but like he's probably the starting center. We'll see what happens with him and Derek Favors, but like I would bet on him more often than not being the starting center for the Oklahoma City Thunder, and he had some nice production last year. Anyway, in the NFL, if Devontae Adams is healthy in Week 4, Devontae Adams is playing. In the NBA, it's like they can just decide to rest Chris Paul. And given the run that the Suns just went on, like there's a real reason to believe it's part of why like Chris Paul's old, played a lot of games last year. They went very deep in a short offseason. Like, and they're probably not going to be at risk of, missing the playoffs. So you don't need to go crazy with Chris Paul. So what does that mean? That means that Cam Payne, like, has like real legitimate value. And like, it makes me feel kind of uncomfortable to talk about Cam Payne, but he looked good. He was super productive down the stretch for them and in the playoffs. He was really good. So like, I kind of think we should have some. I think I have like one or two shares of Cam Payne. So it's not like I'm talking about somebody that I'm like heavily invested in, but he's a great example of early. I took him out of the rankings, but I had, exactly. Last pick. It's like, it's not like you're taking anybody there. I've been taking a ton of Jordan Nwora there for like similar reasons, but at a different position. I had DeLon Wright in the rankings early, not because DeLon Wright is going to be productive and like useful this year, but like, what if Trey gets hurt? What if the Hawks are super deep? Trey is the franchise player. What if they're locked in later in the year and they're like, no, it's time to rest. It's time to rest Trey because he played a lot last year. They made a fairly, a real playoff run. Like we don't need, the contingency guys are super interesting to me. I think there's 4 minutes left to get into Underdog drafts, by the way, if you're trying to get in. I think that is the case. Sorry, I'm getting starting lineup notifications for tonight's games. Super excited. Hope you guys are excited. I'm so pumped for NBA to be here. It has become, I think we've talked about this too on past streams. It has become definitely my favorite sport. It's so fun. So I'm 33 years old. Grew up probably mainly as a basketball player. Played baseball and basketball. Then late, like elementary school, got into football. I was fine at football, but basketball was my best sport. And like basketball, I was just diehard. I'm repping, if you can see, I'm repping the white chocolate jersey today. One of my favorite players. So you can see I was into basketball in the fun 90s times and early 2000s and stuff. But it's hard to make it as like a basketball player. And I happened to just like somehow kind of get better at football. So football ended up being like my trajectory. I played college football. And I've come, and so then after that, like after college, like it was all football. I was obsessed with football, DFS, fantasy football, all that. And I still love fantasy football, but I've actually kind of come full circle now to where like now the NBA is just like, it's I could turn on any NBA, literally pick an NBA game. Doesn't matter. Magic, Thunder, I'll watch it and like be interested in watching it. Football is not really that way. I love everything that's going on in the NBA right now, just across the board. And so it's super, super fun to have like this best ball element to be able to invest in outside of just DFS, right? Like Mark brings up, I'm going to do the same thing. Start looking at DFS. I'm not going to play too much DFS tonight, but 2-game slates are not for me. But I love NBA DFS, but to have this best ball element to our NBA season is an amazing added element. Okay. Now I sat there and talked about all these guards, and I also just rambled for a bunch. Oh my gosh. Don't do it, Mikey. See? Yes. There we go. See? Look at that. Just speak it into existence, and we get Chris Duarte. And we get our guy. All right, 6'7" I'm trying to. So here, I'm just gonna go ahead and queue up a couple guys. I've been taking a lot of Jordan Nwora. If you follow the ranks and the and everything, I recently put Jordan Nwora fairly high in the rankings. I think he is one of the best late round picks. And I'm trying to think about what is best for this team. Let me double check my guards. Brogdon, Dinwiddie, Derek White, Suggs. So, I'm definitely heavier early guards than early wings. So it does give me, the problem is, Nance, Isaac, Reddish, Roby are like kind of useless. And I really do like the Nwora spike potential. Think about this. Melton did get taken. Bane, DiVincenzo. I'm trying to think of what the appropriate pick here at either guard or wing is. You know what? I can't leave my final draft stream of the year without taking a guy who has recently become a flag plant of mine, and it's Jordan Nwora. I think if you got in a draft just now before, I think it locked. But if you got in a draft just now, and if you've been drafting over the last few days, Jordan, it's become fairly apparent to me that Jordan Nwora is going to be a legitimate part of this rotation for the Bucks. So like he's not going to get you zeros. And I do believe that the Bucks are going to rest guys very frequently. And the person who directly benefits from those situations is Jordan Nwora. So you might have weeks where he gets 2 monster games in a week because Giannis sits, Middleton sits, whatever. Then late in the season, when they are, the Bucks are not going to be sweating the playoffs, right? When they're maybe resting some guys some more, when we're trying to win these best ball tournaments, Nwora might be the highest usage player on a team as a 16th round pick who's scoring 45 fantasy points a night. So I've been trying to take a lot of Jordan Nora, and I like Desmond Bain. I talked about Alex Caruso. I love Bones. I like these guys. But I just want to make sure. I wanted to make sure I just kind of got my guy, if you will. I think I did say I was going to look up. I was going to look up DraftKings, so I'm going to do it on my phone really quick to see where DraftKings is at, fill-wise. Maybe not. It's not showing up on my phone. Did they close it? I only see the 555 on DraftKings. Yeah, there's no way those filled. The $20 and the $3 are no longer showing up for me on DraftKings. But there's no way those filled, right? Well, candid camera just caught me. Guess I'm not getting any more DraftKings drafts in. But this was seriously, I just want to say to our small little NBA best ball community, this was amazing. I have had more fun doing all this NBA best ball content, streaming these drafts, talking to you guys here on these streams in chat, talking to you guys in the Discord. This has been one of the more fun times, honestly, that I can remember. It's an absolute blast. I'm incredibly excited. I'm incredibly excited for the future of what this thing is going to become. I know that we had a lot of overlay, which is good for us, but we want the industry to grow. I think what we're seeing with what Underdog is doing is going to just create so much growth in this space. I mean, Underdog has already created an NBA team. They brought a couple of the guys from the Fantasy Labs news team onto their team, and they're now going to be the world leader in real-time NBA news. They brought on Worldwide Wob, who's one of the biggest NBA influencers that exists. And I think that they're going to make a real dedicated effort to push their NBA product. And so I'm super excited, and I really appreciate you guys. Like, more than I appreciate you diving in with me over the course of this season into our fun little NBA best ball game. And I'm not going away. I am guaranteeing that there will be something in season happening with NBA. And we will absolutely be diving in. There will 100% be a playoff contest. And if you missed the playoff contest from this last year, it was one of the more fun fantasy sports contests I've ever played in my entire life. Playoff best ball on Underdog. So we're not going away. It's not over. I'll be enjoying every single second of it in the Discord. But for right now, we'll be taking a little pause on the draft streams, obviously. And I love you guys. Thank you so much for everything. I'll still be in the Discord every single day, chopping it up. We can sweat our teams together. Thanks, guys. We'll catch you later. Have a good one. Enjoy opening night. Let's go Warriors. Sorry if you're a Lakers fan. Let's go Warriors.